Yeah, I like that. Fade out. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Raul here. We got a different type of video today. It's mid-season and I've changed my bag up a little bit. It's probably relatively similar to what it was when I did my in the bag in December for Vlogmas. But I just kind of, you know, things have came in and came out and I've lost certain discs and it's a certain way right now. And I tend to like it where it's at right now. But I have some new discs in there and I've put some old discs in there and I kind of want to just throw them all pretty hard on some different angles and really just see how they fly and kind of just get to know my bag and my discs a little bit better, because I've just been playing a bunch of tournaments and I've been practicing for those tournaments, but I haven't really, you know, gotten to know how some of the discs fly on certain angles. I've just been throwing the shots that I'm practicing with them for. So I'm just going to throw. Essentially what I'm gonna do is just take the discs in my bag and throw them on the different angles that I think I would actually throw them on. So if it's like a flippy putter, I'm not gonna forehand it. We just got out here, so I'm just gonna take my 4 putting putters, P1s, and just throw them on a little bit of hyzer and see how they all fly right now. All those P1s fly pretty similar, just dead straight, little hyzer, push straight. Maybe wants to fade out a little or maybe wants to turn if you throw it hard, but all pretty similar there. So now we'll throw some actual throwing putters. Start off with the Luna. I like to throw this on touch of hyzer and just go dead straight. Tailwind, it might fade out a little bit. Yeah, so Luna dead straight with a little fade at the end. Now we'll go with the P1. It's gonna be similar to that, but it's just gonna hyzer out more, or it should at least. Yeah, so it's perfectly in line with the Luna, just a little more left, so it's a perfect slot. And now we'll go with the P3X and then the Zone. The P3X is actually pretty similar to that P1, but I use it mostly when it's like a little windier or like headwind or crosswinds. It's a little bit more reliable because it has the bead and a lower profile. So I'll typically go to this during tournaments, just because it has a little more predictability. And I could throw that one hard. I threw that hard, flat, and it just went dead straight, faded out at the end. That's probably my best thrown disc in my bag right now. So Zone, here we go. Should just be straight with a little fade. Pretty straight and a good fade. That probably went like 280 maybe. Now we will go with our mid-ranges. So we have our Berry here. And right now I'm just throwing everything on a stock hyzer. So here's the Berry on a hyzer. So slight hyzer just pops up, fades out left at the end, kind of near the Luna, but a little bit further and a little left with that glide at the end. So Cayman, I'm gonna throw this hard and a little hyzer and see if it pushes straight at all. I haven't been throwing this thing too much. So I threw it hard, pulled it right a little bit, but it pushed straight, but definitely was fading the whole time. I probably went like 300, 310 or so. Now we got our Recluse. This is one of my also most used discs in the bag right now. Throw it forehand, backhand, so we'll show both of those today. But here's the backhand hyzer with this thing. Yeah, that thing's beefy. Just wants to get down right away. All right, now for the interesting part, we're gonna go fairway drivers. Just to break it down, I'll show you what I got. I got a Leopard 3, Skywalker, Flippy FD3, same FD3 run, but newer, so it's straight. And then I have a Thunderbird, a straightish Firebird, and an overstable Discmania Open FD3. So this is my beef. It pretty much goes from overstable to understable. These two discs, this Thunderbird and this FD3 are pretty similar, but this FD3 goes a little straighter and a little further. So I'm kind of messing around with it in the bag right now. So we're gonna try to put them on some different angles, but we'll start with the Leo 3. This is a beefy Leo 3 too. Let's see if I could show that. I'm just gonna try to throw it on a little hyzer, see how much it flips. Yeah, so you could see it. I threw a hyzer. We do have a little tailwind, so it rode up flat, but literally didn't flip at all. It rode flat and then faded out. So FD1 now. Try to hit these all in a similar line. Skywalker. So yeah, that thing's really good right now. I'm liking it a lot. It just goes dead straight and has a good gentle fade. I'll go with these FD3s. Go with the flippy boy first. See if we can get this thing to hyzer flip and turn. Yeah, so you could see it popped up, turned a little bit and flew out. It definitely usually turns more, but we got some wind and I'm not throwing crazy hard right now, but now we'll see that comparison to the newer FD3. That's low. And came out kind of weak, but the difference there is that thing just wants to fade out, doesn't want to flip up as much. Now let's see this Thunderbird. This Thunderbird's pretty stable, so I think it's gonna be more overstable than both of those. Yeah, so that wants to fade out right away. Doesn't really want to pop up to flat, just goes straight and then fades. Dye Firebird now. This is my really reliable disc right now. I like it a lot. So it's kind of like that Thunderbird, but it just wants to fade out and get down a little bit faster, whereas the Thunderbird kind of wants to glide. And then I had a red overstable Firebird in the bag, but I think I'm gonna go with this FD3 again. It just feels better in the hand to me, to be honest. It has more of a low profile and it just feels better right now, so I switched it back. But this thing should be very overstable still. There's a good throw with some power. So that just pushed out there, wanted to fade out the whole entire time. Never wants to flip, never wants to do nothing but get down to the ground. So reliable fairway driver there. Glad to see it's not doing anything funky. All right, now distance drivers, baby. We got Innova DD3. This is my flippy here, Destroyer or DD3. And then I have this 2019 Brinster with the T-Bird stamp. That's kind of my straight guy. And then I have 4 Halo Destroyers. One Champ Halo Destroyer that I mostly throw forehand. 21 Vinny that I wiped the stamp. That actually goes a little bit straighter than this guy now, but has a reliable fade. It gets a little hyzer flip, but wants to fade out. Then I have this black Vinny with a purple stamp. That is a bit more overstable, but not as overstable as this. I'm curious to see how this one's gonna do in like headwinds with forehand and stuff on different angles. So we'll test that out. And then we got the teal guy. That's my beefy boy right now. And then we have this Discmania Skystone PD2. So we will start it off with the Discmania DD3, touch a hyzer, just like all my other shots. Oh yeah, that thing's good. Goes straight, flips, and fades. Like I said, we're in a tailwind. Usually it would turn a little bit, but with this wind, it just kind of wanted to stay straight and fade out. So I have a feeling this thing's gonna flip up a little bit, but then just fade out. Yep, straight push. And the slow fade, that thing's really good. It's got a stiff plastic, so it cuts through the wind, and it pushes straight, but it has a good reliable fade, so I like that thing a lot. Now we'll go with this thing. I don't throw it too much backhand, but it's got a good dome and a stiff rim, so it flies really good. I don't know, I like some of the other ones better for backhand, but it kind of has like a Thunderbird-esque flight, but a distance driver. Oh God. I yoinked that one, I'll do that over again. But now we'll do this white stamp Vinny. Should get a little hyzer flip out of this. Came out super early, that's so annoying. All right, that's fine. I just didn't throw it good, but it faded out, didn't really get a good example. This one we'll try to throw it hard and see how it flies on a little hyzer. It should be pretty stable though. Yeah. So I almost ripped that thing flat and it pushes straight for a second, but wants to fade out, pretty reliable. Just once you put it into a little headwind, then maybe it pushes straighter for a little bit longer. So now we got this thing, which is old reliable. If I absolutely got to get left or get a big skip, we're pulling this out. That throw felt good. Little hyzer, nice and flat. It actually did push straight, but then it has a good fade on it. We actually do have like a little tail left to right wind, so that's why I think it held it straight for a little bit longer, but definitely dependable. I'll pretty much always rely on that thing in wind. And then I got the Skystone PD2 flat, so it doesn't want to get as much left as the 21 Vinny, the teal guy, but let's see what it does. Yeah, so that thing doesn't really go anywhere. It kind of just gets to the ground and does its job. So I like it for flicks a lot. I don't really throw it too much backhand, but when I need it, I will pull it out. All right, guys, so we got all of our discs back. Now we're gonna throw back into the headwind. None of my discs did anything crazy in the tailwind that, you know, I didn't expect or anything, but it's the tailwind, you know, you kind of just expect them to push straight and fade out. But now I wanna see how some of them pretty much go into the headwind. I might be throwing them on the same angle, but I really just want to see how they fly in the wind. Because for example, I'm not really throwing the Luna or this P1 on anything but the hyzer angle. So let's just see. I'm not even going to throw the baseline P1s because I would never throw them in headwind, but this Luna, I might try to get like a late hyzer flip. So I'm just going to try to throw it out there and see kind of how late it'll flip. So I put that kind of swoopy and a lot of hyzer, and it slowly flipped. Had a better reaction than I thought. I thought it would flip sooner, but I kind of just put it on a lot of hyzer knowing that it would do that. So it definitely has enough integrity to still fly. You just got to put it on a good angle. Now let's see this P1. Try to throw it pretty hard. So yeah, into the headwind, put it on some hyzer. It still went straight and faded out. Just got to give it clean spin, so that's good to know. Now we'll go P3X here. Try to put this thing a little flatter and punch a little bit. Yeah, I like that. So put it a little flatter, push straighter, but still fade it out. That thing doesn't want to flip. I love it. Now we'll go with the zone here. Headwind, same thing, a little hyzer. Let's see what this thing does. So yeah, I wouldn't imagine anything different than the P1, so it just went straight, had good fade at the end, so that zone is getting beat in, but still reliable. This came in. I actually want to see into the headwind how this thing flies with a touch of angle, touch of anhyzer angle, see how reliable it is. Little flex line. I didn't flex it. I kind of just released it here and it pushed straight and hyzered out. So it's an overstable disc. I wouldn't really expect anything other than that. Recluse, I'm gonna put this on a little flex. Bring it a little higher in the reach back and see how she does. The wind's not super strong right now, so it's not affecting it too much, but still. Oh my gosh. I didn't flex that either. I kind of just brought it down, tried to flex it, but then released it up, so wasn't really a good test. We'll go with this berry. I'm gonna try to throw it on like a touch of hyzer, but pretty much a flat line, and see how straight it wants to go. It's like a little head left to right now. All right, here we go. See, that's a good berry right there. Flip up, slow turn, even a little fade out at the end, so that's nice. Now we'll go with some fairway drivers that I mostly throw backhand. That's 3s for the Leopard, the FD3s, and the Skywalker. So I'm gonna throw this Leopard out left, see how much it wants to flip. We got a pretty steep headwind right now, so this is good. So pops up, rides right, keeps going right, fades out at the end. Good integrity. I'm saying that thing is stable. This Skywalker should have a pretty good flight too. This Skywalker is not far off from the FD, that Leo 3, but it's a little more stable. Touch a hyzer, pop up, drift right, but really just go straight. That thing's money though. I love that disc. I've come to like that disc again very fast. Throw it on hyzer, go straight, little headwind, turns right a little bit, but doesn't want to drag like the Leopard. So that's a good distinction there. I got this FD3. This thing will turn, so I'm gonna throw it left and it should turn. Oh my gosh. Threw it into the ground. I saw it starting to turn at the end there, and I know what that thing does into the headwind. So now let's see what this thing does. I think it'll go straight, but I don't think it'll turn much. See, I'm getting tired, that's the thing. I kind of rolled over at the end there. I threw it flat and rolled it. I went straight and turned a little bit. I think if I gave it a little bit of height, it for sure would have faded out, but wasn't really a good test. I kind of threw it into the ground. I'm pretty tired. What I want to do though is throw some sidearms. So we're gonna start out with these two discs. These are primarily sidearm discs. Well, I guess not so much this one, but this one definitely. So this Firebird, I'm gonna throw it flat, maybe a touch of hyzer, and just see how straight it goes. Yeah. That is my money maker right now. I throw it into the headwind even, flat, it goes dead straight and fades out. I love it. This thing I'm gonna put on a little like chop angle, see what it does. Yeah, so little chop, pushes left, has a strong fade at the end. So that thing's nice and overstable, nice and dependable in the wind. I'm gonna go with some distance drivers. We'll start out with the Domi Champ. And I'm just gonna put these all on a touch of hyzer and just throw them smooth. I don't wanna throw my arm out right now. Yeah, so low, just stands up on hyzer and fades out. As long as I don't flex that thing into the headwind, it doesn't really wanna turn unless I throw it flat or a little bit of angle. But yeah, if I keep it on hyzer, it generally holds up into the wind with that kind of stiff rim. This thing I think might hyzer flip a little bit actually. We'll give it some sauce. I just kind of went straight too, popped up a little bit and went right. The wind kind of died there, so it didn't really do much, but this one, we got the purple. This thing, I think I would like this to be a little bit more overstable than it is, because right now it flies kind of similar to those last ones and not nearly as overstable as that turquoise one. So I'm gonna give this one a little chop angle and see if it holds up, because that's what I want it for really. Yeah, so that's not bad. I kind of threw it too high in the air. It pushed left a little bit, but never wanted to roll over or anything, but I didn't get the nose down. So now we're gonna see this thing. I'm gonna chop it over too into the headwind. I'm gonna try to get the nose down on it though to see if it can handle that and come out. Because I need a really overstable disc that I can dependably throw into the headwind. Threw it into the air too. But it pushed left a little bit, but wanted to come out way sooner than that black one and even fade out really hard. So see if I could get that angle right this time with the PD2. There we go. That was more so the angle I was looking for, but that wanted to come out of it real quick. It pushed a little left, but wanted to come back. The difference between that PD2 and the Teal Destroyer is the Teal Destroyer is very domey and stiff, so it wants to rise and fade out right super hard. Now, I got my clear Thunderbird here. I'm gonna try throwing it, that touch of hyzer, but into the headwind and seeing what it does now. Yeah, that thing's really good. I ripped that pretty good. Into the headwind, touch a hyzer, just goes straight and fades out a little bit, but has a pretty pure flight. Now we got this Flippy DD3. I'm gonna try to do like a cool, stiff hyzer flip. So I'm gonna try to throw it low on hyzer and see if I could get a cool line out of it, or just kind of see what that flipping point is. Yeah, that's awesome. So if I put enough hyzer on it, which I did, I put it hyzer and low, and it pushed left, slowly flipped, turned right, and then went straight. So it's good to have. You could still trust it, just got to put that hyzer. Now we'll try kind of a similar thing with this Brinster. The wind died down right now. I think I'm actually going to start it left and put it like flat or a little anhyzer angle and see if it'll hold up in that, opposed to the hyzer flip. Fade out, stay up. So it was just a little bit too low for that line, but I started it out left, put it on a touch of anhyzer, and it rode that wind super hard. We got ahead left to right, so it just rode it super hard. Barely got smashed into the ground. It almost wanted to fade out, but it was just a little too much angle and a little too much wind. So if I'm gonna throw that disc into wind like this, I just have to give it a little bit more height. All right, so I threw most of my discs, kind of the stock angles I would throw forehand, backhand. So now I'm just gonna throw some of them on the angles that I don't typically throw them on, just in case I get put in weird situations or, you know, feel like I wanna throw them on a different angle. I could kind of know how they fly. So we're just gonna start picking and choosing, or I guess we'll go with the putters again first. So Luna here, I'm gonna put this on kind of a high drifting shot and see if I can get it to hold over for a while and not roll. Yeah, so that's pretty good. It held over. We have like a tail right to left one, so once it gets going into the right to left, it kind of gets smashed down, but it still wanted to hold that smoothly for a while and not just roll right away. I'm gonna try that same line with this P1. It might be better for that angle since it has a little stability. I just kind of got that nose up and it didn't drift, but it does show you the stability of that disc. You do have to get the nose angle down. This P3X, I'll throw it on like a low flex line, see what it does there. All right, so it held the line, but it's not like an overstable zone or anything where it wants to come back and skip. We'll try that same line with the zone and see how she does, because that line is useful sometimes. Yeah, see, little flex out of the hand with the zone, but does want to come back and skip, opposed to P3X wants to just slowly turn and kind of slide forward. Now we got a Recluse and the Cayman. I'm gonna throw them on forehand lines. I'm gonna put this Recluse on a pretty steep forehand angle and see if it wants to come out of it. Yeah, so it wants to push left a little bit, but definitely fade out at the end. That's a really good disc, very versatile. Throw it on hyzer, flat, flex line, super good. I barely find myself throwing the zone anymore, even because it's so reliable. Now we got this Cayman. I actually want to throw this Cayman on a forehand, just a little hyzer, because I never throw this thing sidearm, and I just want to see if it's like torque resistant. So here we go. All right. That's nice. I threw it at my stock hyzer to flat angle. It just pushed straight and faded out. It felt pretty good in the hand though, and it just went straight, so that was kind of nice. All right, now to mix it up a little bit, we're gonna throw these FD3s on sidearms. This thing could be a saucy sidearm disc if I wanna tear up some tight fairways. So I'm gonna throw it flat out to the right and see how much turn it wants to get. Yeah, so drifting left and then fading out. I got the nose up a little bit so I could see if I hit it nice and flat, turning a little bit more, but that was nice. I mean, again, we have tailwind, so it's gonna fade out a little earlier, but now this one, I'm gonna try to just throw up my stock flat hyzer angle and see what it does. This could be nice. It feels good in the hand, actually. Yeah, so just straight, 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 and then fade out at the end. That came up a little nose up too, but that's okay. We got this Leo 3. I'm actually gonna throw this sidearm too. I'm gonna throw it on a little hyzer flip and see how it flies, because I could see myself kind of throwing this on a little pop-up hyzer flip line. It feels pretty good, actually. Oh, I threw it high and rolled it, but it popped up, turned left, and now it's fading out. So it's kind of nice. Like, see, throwing these lines that you would never throw sometimes will give you the confidence to do so in a tournament. I got this Skywalker FD1. I'm gonna throw this one on an Anheuser line and see if it wants to hold it or just what it does, really. Oh, I like that shot. That disc is so money. That went far. It started left and just slowly drifted right for a while and then faded out. That was money. I've thrown this every possible way sidearm, so I'm gonna throw it backhand. I'm gonna try it on that same line, but a little bit more angle, see if I could get a nice tight flex line. That was pretty similar to that Skywalker, so it started out on Anheuser, drifted a little bit right, but then faded out. It's that tie-dye Firebird, so that was nice. Same thing with this disc. I've pretty much thrown it every which way possible on the sidearm, so I'm gonna throw it backhand. Same thing, just give it a bunch of angle and throw it super hard and see how much stability it has. Oh, that thing is so good. So I hit that thing on some good angle. It pushed hard right and then still faded out and skipped. So that's a great disc. I'm glad I switched from the Firebird back to that thing. We got this Flippy DD3. I'm gonna throw it sidearm flat, see if I get a sick line out of it. Just released it high. Push straight, faded out. That's probably a good 350 though. We got the Bridgestone Destroyer Tailwind. I haven't been throwing this on crazy Anheisers lately, so I'm gonna do it just to get an idea of where it's at right now. Oh, I like that. So that's holding in the tailwind and then fading out and getting a good skip. That is one of my best discs for sure. Tailwind, you can really crank it over and let it hold, and it will come back and skip out. Has plenty of stability. I think we're gonna do that for a couple of them. I haven't thrown this much with the backhand, so we're gonna throw that same thing. See if it's similar. I feel like this one's almost a little, I think it's around the same, maybe a little more stable actually. Oh, high, turning. See, that one almost turned longer. Turned, got some good glide and then faded out, but actually landed softer than the Brinster. So that's interesting. We'll throw this one, the purple stamp, same thing, crank it over on Annie. I'm gonna actually put this one a little higher and really rip it harder. See where it comes out. Oh, it's not high, but it's hard and it's coming out. Yeah, that thing has plenty of overstability. I threw it hard on a lot of angle and it worked right, but it was coming out the whole time. Like I pretty much threw it at the ground in terms of angle, but it was so overstable it wanted to come out. So now we got this. I mostly throw this on hyzer, like flat sidearms that I just get to push pretty far. Like I'll typically throw it like 370 to 380-ish, 350. But I'm gonna put on some Anheuser and see what kind of flight I could get out of it. Try not to let the nose up. I want it to push. Yeah, I like that. So got the nose down, pushed left the whole time, but got clean spin out of it so it didn't roll over. It just pushed left and then slowly faded out with the dome. Had a really good flight actually, I like that. PD2, I'm gonna throw this on hard flex and just see what it does into the left to right wind. That's a great angle. See, so that's good to know. It is tailwind, but I can rip that thing over hard and just trust that it's never gonna go right. It's gonna come back. Same thing here with this. I'm gonna rip it over and just see the stability of it. Sometimes you need to throw that hard flex on. I'm gonna throw a higher shot and really cook it over. Oh, come out. Oh, that was a crazy shot. So I threw it a little higher, but so much angle out of the hand that it just pushed super hard right. We have a left to right wind, so it kind of rode that, but it slid forward at the end of the flight. So that was interesting. All right, so I think I have all my discs here. I'm just gonna kind of go through them real quick by putters, mids, fairways, and distance drivers. My putters are pretty much exactly where I want them. We'll say a zone is a putter, it's in between, but my Luna is nice and straight, will hyzer flip and go straight. The P1 actually has more stability than I thought. I put it on hyzer into the headwind and it still faded out, so that was nice. And then the P3X is just reliable and trusty. I could throw it into the tailwind, headwind, hard, flat, and it'll go straight and fade out. Pretty much almost get the same flight no matter what. That's why I throw this at least a few times every tournament off the tee. Then we got the zone. This thing is nice and straight but reliable. Still has more overstability than the P3X. So if we have more headwind, I could throw it, or if I just want that, you know, kind of fade and a little bit of skip, I could throw this. Our mids are exactly where I want them. I don't have a lot of mids right now. Usually I'm a big mid guy, but I got Barry, Cayman, and Recluse. I pretty much only throw one mid backhand, and it's the Barry. I could pretty much get it to like flip and turn if I want by throwing it flat. Hyzer, it just goes dead straight, and then I could throw a nice pushing hyzer with it if I want to like give it a little bit more height. Cayman is nice and overstable, actually took the forehand pretty well. And then Recluse took the overstable chop, hyzer, everything. It's just a great disc, backhand, forehand. So very happy with that. With the fairway drivers, I got my Leopard and Skywalker for slower. The Leopard is a nice backhand hyzer flip to fade if it's tailwind, or just kind of hold over if it's headwind, but doesn't ever want to roll or cut roll if I throw it on hyzer or flat. The Skywalker is dead straight on hyzer into the headwind, will go straight and turn a little bit, and then has a really good flight if I want to crank it over on some Annie, just kind of slowly pans out. And we have this both of these FD3s. This one will get the flip and turn into the headwind, and this one is kind of the just overstable complement to that. So it'll flip up and then fade out, opposed to flip up and turn. and it actually forehands nice, goes dead straight. I can forehand this in the woods too if I want a little hyzer flip. So they feel really good. They have a mild dome, but a really good profile. Then we have my Firebird then I have my Firebird, which this is a workhorse. I could throw it flat, forehand, backhand, chop it over, backhand, crank it over both times. It'll fade out. So this is just a great disc. And then this is just my overstable guy where I can throw it on chop, backhand, skip shot, whatever, just super reliable. And this Thunderbird, which is also really good. I forgot to mention this. This is kind of in between my FD3s and my Firebird. So if I want it to get a little bit further than this Firebird, I'll throw this. But if I still want the fade, opposed to throwing the FD3, it's kind of like a 350 to 360, but throw it hard and have it go straight and then fade out, opposed to the Firebird. That distance gets a little shaky because it wants to fade out, so I'll have to put it flat. This thing, I could throw it, you know, a little bit of hyzer and it'll just still go straight and fade out. It's plenty stable and torque resistant. All right, then I got my distance drivers, flippy to stable. I've known this is the flippiest. It actually forehands really well. I've thrown it on a couple of shots that I put it on hyzer low and it flips up, goes straight and fades out. And then backhand, I could throw a hyzer. It'll push straight into the tailwind or flip and hold into the headwind, which is nice. I need a flippy disc like this because I definitely don't have a lot. These two discs, the Brinster and the Wiped Vinny, are pretty similar actually. It's just, to me, the Brinster feels better for backhand because it has dome. It has like kind of like that rigid shoulder dome and then a little bit more dome in the middle. Whereas this one, well, this one just has more of that like UFO dome. It's similar to this Halo guy. These two feel similar, but I think this one like will flip up and go straight, whereas this one kind of wants to just hold the hyzer and drift. So these three are actually pretty similar. This one is mostly a backhand disc that, you know, you could get to hold some really pretty lines. This one is mostly forehand and this one is mostly forehand. But this one will get the flip and this one kind of just wants to glide out on hyzer. Oh, that's what I'm missing. I'm missing the black purple Stamp Destroyer. I'll grab that in a second. And then, let me go grab that. All right, we're back, we got it. This one went the furthest out of all those by far. This is almost at the path in the back there, so. I don't know how far it was, but it probably went like 450 or something. But I cranked this one over on anhyzer and it held, but then it came out. So I threw it really hard. It came out, but it fought back and skipped. I'm so tired. So this thing actually has more overstability than I thought. I thought on that angle it would kind of, you know, hold it over and slide up there, but it fought out for sure. And I threw it hard with some good angles. So this is one of the discs that I'm a little bit surprised, but pleasantly surprised by, because it's more overstable than I thought. And I was kind of under the impression that it wasn't that overstable. It's because I had one throw that I threw it flat into the headwind and it just pushed a little straight, but that's judging the disc off one throw. And I could have just hit it really hard and got the nose down really good that time. But yeah, it's really good, nice and overstable. So I'm gonna be trusting this thing for sure. And then we got the teal guy. This thing is very overstable. I threw it on a lot of angle into the left to right wind and it carried and then got like a straight forward skip and then even slid left at the end. So this thing just feels so good in hand. It has a crazy heartbeat. You could probably hear it. It's stiff, has like that crazy UFO dome, and is just feels like it's gonna be reliable in the wind when you need it. Then I got the PD2, also reliable in the wind, but this thing's flat. So opposed to like this thing getting glide and going way right, this thing on a forehand wants to get down and on a backhand wants to spike. So that's it. I mean, I feel like even just with a few throws, I learned my discs a little bit more than I had previously, and sometimes it's good to just get out in the field and throw them in different winds and different angles and on forehands and backhands. So if you haven't done that in a while, get out there and just have fun and just throw your discs on different angles. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.